Welcome to the Conscious Radio Network's YouTube channel. Become enlightened, have fun, and tell all your friends and family to share with everyone they know. You can find us on Facebook and stay up to date on our Facebook group, or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Our podcasts can be found on Libsyn, iHeart, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Most of all, remember to go to our official website at consciousradionetwork.com for podcasts, hosts, future shows, and scheduling. We also want to welcome our international audience. Don't stop now. Enjoy the community. Subscribe today.
This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's weekly podcast series, The Séance. I'm your host, Reverend Dr. Paul Mekas. If this is your first time tuning in, please click subscribe, like, share, comment, and also follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. Today's guest, we all know him. You've all seen him. One of the hardest working actors in Hollywood, Eric Roberts. His career began with a leading role in King of the Gypsies, which he received his first Golden Globe Award nomination, following his second in Bob Fosse's Star 80. Today, we will discuss his journey and touch on some of the metaphysical and paranormal experiences. In closing, we'll take a look at his new project, The Natural Child. Let's welcome to the show, Eric Roberts. How you doing, brother?
I could not be better. Thanks for asking, and good morning.
And good morning to you. Well, I tell you, man, you have been divinely blessed and gifted through your life. And this all started probably way back in June of 1981. And we'll probably touch on a couple other different things. But the busiest working actor in Hollywood, you've been in a lot of films.
I've had a lot of fun.
When did you lose count?
Well, I lost count about 75.
Wow.
I kept track until about 73, 74, 75, and then I got confused, and then I got lost.
I don't blame you. There's more important things to worry about.
That's a good point. Thank you.
Definitely. So, talking about the paranormal, metaphysical, everybody has their experiences, and then some aren't willing to talk about it, and some just don't know what to make of it. When did this all start for you? Now, as far as, let's go back to 1981. What actually happened?
I had an accident, and I was in a hospital. I was in a coma for 2 weeks, and then I was in the hospital for another over 2 weeks. And in that interim, I had someone come to my room and talk to me very seriously about my injury, and stuff. And it turned out that nobody ever came into my room. So that was very peculiar. And but I kind of wrote that off as my brain trauma. But then you jump cut many years later into the house I'm in now. I get up in the middle of the night, as I often do, and in our kitchen, it's an old house. It was built about 1932. Not about. It was built in 32, and It's got a standing oven in the kitchen. It's a brick oven. It's open. You can make anything in it. We don't use it, but it's very old. And I go into the kitchen, and it's by the sink. I go into the kitchen, and I run myself a glass of water. That's back in the days when you drank out of the sink. And out came what looked like smoke from the opening, from that little oven. And it came into a form of a woman. And I'm sitting there thinking, am I asleep? Am I awake? What's going on? I can't believe I'm seeing this. And I pinch myself. I talk to myself. I say, I am here. I am awake. I am conscious. And this is happening.
Yeah.
And then she stands there and she comes it becomes almost 3-dimensional. She's like 2.5-dimensional, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
And my next step is to touch her, but I see if I touch her, my hand's going to go through her. That is so weird. I can't believe I'm even thinking that. And then she goes back in the oven and goes away. Now I go instantly into the bathroom, look at myself in the mirror. Am I awake? And do all this stuff, because I smoked a little marijuana in my day. And so I'm like wondering if there's some kind of transfer or something in my past.
Flashback.
So there are entities that are 3-dimensional entities that we live with, that we're unaware of because we choose to be, because it's more comfortable, I suppose. But yes, there are those things that people find to be unbelievable, but they exist and they're with us. So lead me through this properly so I can be of assistance to you.
So and this has happened currently in the place that you live now, correct?
Oh yeah.
Wow. Is it still happening, or?
No, that's the only time I ever saw her. But I feel her presence now all the time. And I know that's probably psychological. I know because I know she's real. So I feel her. Yeah. I don't know if it's that or if I really feel her. But I know it happened to me. And I know I was not hallucinating or sleepwalking. So.
Now, a lot of things happens to the body, physically, mentally, psychologically, spiritually, when we all have accidents. I was in a motorcycle accident many years ago with an out-of-body experience. And do you feel that the accident that you had early on changed something, shifted something?
Well, when you suffer brain trauma, you take this wonderful mechanism and you twist it, or you injure it, or you bruise it. You do something where it is not its whole self anymore. And it has to compensate. And it knows how to compensate. It will compensate to great degrees for injuries, idiocy. It does compensate. It's a great tool. And so over time, it compensated. And I came back. But I came back differently. I did not come back with the same tools. And I came back with less tools. I came back with different tools. My different tools, I tried to turn into better tools, but my tools were different. And I had to work with them differently. And so I was a different person. The person I was with when I had the accident, I was with after the accident. And they were very sadly definite about the fact I was a different person. And they said I was nicer. They said I had a much quicker temperament, but I was nicer.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. But anyway, so I forgot the question.
Basically how it changed you. You went from A to B.
A to B.
Completely different shift. That it shifted you spiritually, mentally. Your character changed. Your temperament changed. Do you feel it was like a spiritual blessing or a divine blessing that accident? It was almost like it was written. That somehow it, and you'd probably understand that better than anybody. That it was written. That it was like scripted. It's like, okay, maybe. Thinking back at it, that maybe it was supposed to happen. It was written to happen because something about you had to change.
Well, not to be cliche, but Nietzsche did say it best. It's used on runaway train. That's why I even know it exists. Nietzsche said it best. He said, "What doesn't kill you will make you stronger."
Yeah.
And it didn't kill me, but it threatened to. Therefore, it did make me stronger because I had to either overcome it or be overwhelmed by it. And I chose the former, and got lucky because I had some good people around me. Nobody understands that kind of injury though, because you can't see it. And when a person looks okay and they speak okay and they can still learn lines, it's like, he's okay, but you're not okay because you're not who you were. And when you're an adult and you're handed a whole different point of view of your life, suddenly, like in an instant, bam, you have a different point of view on everything. And you don't know if you're a good actor anymore. Oh my God, maybe I lost my touch. You start to threaten it because your whole physicality changes. Because when you hurt the left side of your head, the right side of your body gets behind. Yeah. And I hit the left side of my head, and the right side of my body was one full beat behind the left side. But nobody can see that, but I can feel it. Yeah. And they can see it if they really watch me. Oh, he's got a little gimp there. But it's not really noticeable. But you have to go through a lot to achieve a little with that kind of injury. It's very, very arduous.
Absolutely. How long was the recovery till you got back? Back on stage, back behind the camera.
Oh, to get back on stage is only about 4 months. To get back where I was in control of being on stage, it took about 9 months. And to have my tools where I was as in control of my instrument and as and all my emotions as available, it took about 18 months. And so it was a comeback process, and I was in a Broadway play, so it was a bit spooky, but it all worked out.
Blessings. And that's
my first film after my accident was Star 80, and
really?
Which I consider my very best work because I had my very best director, writer director, and so. And I just did what he wanted me to do. What do you want to see? He would tell me, I'd go do it. So it was all his performance, and I basically also played him. So it was kind of easy for me.
Yeah. Do you feel that this also may have? I mean, we can't experience something that never happened, but do you feel that this incident may have improved your acting? Changed something about how you act?
We have no way of knowing.
Exactly.
I look at my first movie. I look at my second movie called Paul's Case. A little short thing I did. It's a short film, about an hour and 10 minutes long. I did that for the American Short Story Series. And that's one of the best pieces of work I've ever been responsible for. And what was it, 22? And I was just, oh my God, I was ready. And so when I had the accident, I look back on that work and go, God, I don't know if I got that anymore. I don't know how to touch that anymore. But I did. I just had a different avenue to get to it.
Yeah, because I'm not familiar with the dates on some of the releases, but like the Coca-Cola Kid, was that before Coca-Cola Kid and like the ambulance?
The ambulance was right after the accident, and the Coca-Cola Kid was about 3 years after the accident. The Coca-Cola Kid was the time I was really back physically. Yeah.
Wow. It shows it. That's a darn good movie.
Yeah, that's a good character.
Yeah. That and the ambulance. That threw me off. Now, not to get off subject, but was that in the ambulance? Was that the actual studio for Marvel?
No, the ambulance.
Yeah,
we shot some of that in Queens, the old Marx Brothers Studios. We shot it all on the streets of Queens and the Bronx. It was on the streets, dude. That was an independent movie back in the days when as a movie star you weren't supposed to make those, and it was just pure Larry being insane, and we went out there and made a movie on the streets. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Larry Cohen, I'm referring to.
Yeah, Stan Lee does his little cameo.
There you go. Yeah, Stan. He's
Yeah.
a cool guy, man. I miss him. He was a lovely man.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Now,
he told my wife back in the '80s, back in the early '80s, he told my wife he would come into her office. She worked at Larimar. She cast all their shows. He would come into the office and he would talk to her about how all these characters are going to all be superstars of their own movies because Bob Iger would go on and on about his dream.
yeah.
And she said they all thought he was a little nuts, but they all loved him because his stuff was kind of cool, man. It was kind of cool, and
Yeah.
so it was all. They were always really good to him. But he had a dream and he saw it through. Stanley.
Heck yeah, man. I mean, he's a legend now.
Yeah.
But, jeez. God bless him, man. He left behind a huge empire.
Didn't he?
Woo! 50 years from now, somebody will name his, say his name, be like, who's that? But you know his work. You'll know his work.
Yeah. It's so true.
Yeah. Now, being in character in some of your films, have you ever noticed anything strange, either on or off set, that might, any paranormal experiences during during filming? Too far into character and you experience weird things?
I've played several people in biography mode who have lived. I've played several real people. And whenever I play real people, I'm positive, and I know this sounds insane, so you have to be careful, but I'm positive I get visited by the people because it's important to them.
Yeah.
And because stuff happens. I mean, small stuff like the toothbrushes in different places. I mean, small stuff that if you talk about it, it sounds silly and forced. So you don't talk. You just see it and you note it and you go, oh yeah. And it's not, there is absolutely none of this, even if you're a total believer that we walked among them, we can touch them if we could. They're not going to harm you. They're not here to scare us or hurt us. There's a thing of enlightenment that we're all after before we go, and they're around to help if you just know how to utilize them. I don't, but I believe that's why they're here. That's why they never go. They have a job to do if we recognize what they can give us.
Yeah.
Now,
it's
that's
almost
my
yeah. It's almost like they're here. It's almost like they're here. They're definitely here to help us when we need help and to guide us when we kind of get off track. And they're here to do that until our job is done. It's like everybody's stepping in to help, and then we might come back to help somebody on the other side. So,
or until our next job starts. Yeah, well said.
Yep. Yeah. Until the new movie starts. Yep. Yeah. Now, saying that is as far as a form of channeling, and when me and Eliza spoke a couple weeks ago, setting this up, she mentioned something about also feeling the energy while in character of channeling the actual person, person that you're trying to portray on film.
Well, my wife accuses me of that all the time. She like I sleep very little when I'm playing these parts.
Yeah.
And she'll tell me, I'll say, God, I'm so tired. Why can't I sleep? And she'll tell me they're talking to you, and you're trying to ignore them, and they don't like that. That's how I'm immediately affected like that. I think that's funny to hear that.
Yeah.
But I also find some semblance of truth to what my wife is saying. And I believe if I allowed myself to understand it and to delve into it, I would find things that would possibly frighten me. But the point is, I don't not believe that.
Yeah. So essentially, you're a psychic, you're a medium. There's different frequencies and realms that you're able to tap into, especially during acting, on and off stage. So,
but I'm also scared to allow myself to wallow in it because I feel it is real, and I'm a child. That's why I'm not a bad actor. I think I'm a child. I never allowed myself to get into an object form, an objective form of myself, like adults do. I stayed subjective, and I think that's a good for my vocation. But it's not the most honest way to live. I have a very adult wife. I'm very lucky, but you know, uh, I know myself enough that I've described to you just now that I could get lost in this world of the supernatural, we'll call it.
Well, there we go. See, when we start talking, when we start talking about things, about spirits and stuff like that, that's a sign that, okay, next subject.
Yeah, well, that's how people look at people in the realm of the supernatural. They think that's not real, so they think that people who are into it are peculiar.
Yeah.
F them.
Absolutely. Now see, I forgot with all that happened. I forgot what the next question was. Now I've worked with a couple people here in Florida, and they work with a system called the Way Through. And I think back in the day, Ted Danson was one of the actors that was working with it to help actors get out of their character. Have you ever been in played a character that was like, crap, I can't get out of it. I can't get out of it.
A couple of times, but mostly once in my mannerisms. I started to live how this guy mannered, and I don't have those mannerisms. So everybody was saying, "What's wrong with you?" For about 6 months. What's wrong with you? Why are you doing all this weird? And then I realized, yeah, I'm still living this guy, and I had to kind of. And you have to work to stop. It's like, I don't know. It's just a muscle memory. It's a habit that if you're not careful, you will adapt. Adapt. And that's not cool.
I do that all the time if I walk into a British pub. In 15 minutes, I'll have a British accent.
There you go. Same difference. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Natural Child Project that you've got working on. What is that about?
Well, Natural Child, Jan Hunt, to talk about it is to totally dissipate it, because to read her book, you really feel, oh, I get it, and you follow through with it. And what it is if you have a child, if you want a child, if you're childbearing, if you're child rearing, if you're related to a child, if you have a child next door, whatever your relationship is to a child, if you have a relationship to a child, this book will make it complete. And you find out about the fact that they are not second-class citizens, our kids. They are entities and peeps and projects that we need to treat properly. We can't act like we're waiting for them to become a part of the program. They are part of the program.
Yeah.
And it's just, to talk about it will dissipate it, because it's so strong and it's so definite and it's so easy to adhere to. And once you do, you give yourself a new life.
Wow.
And that's where I'll leave it. Yeah, it's fantastic. Jan Hunt.
Cool. So the within the career that you've had in so many, I can't even name them other than my favorite ones, but the getting into character, as far as taking your roles, and choosing your roles, what is the first thing What's the very first factor that you look at when it comes to choosing a particular role when you're given a script?
You read the script first just to read the story, if it takes you through it. And if you get through it and you're happy, wow, that was a good read. Then you read it again for the character they've offered you. And you read it for that. And then if that also goes well for you, then you're in a movie. Okay, I'm going to make this movie. Then you start taking it apart. And by taking it apart, you see your relationships to all the characters in the movie, and all the relationships that came before the characters in the movie, and you do a little backstory for yourself, so you understand. If an actor goes off on improv, you will know your relationship to him and why you have it and where you come from, so you dance with him if he goes off the page, and you're ready to go. You just get ready to go, but. That all sounds very busy, very complicated. We're all doing it at 8 years old in make-believe. We're all doing the exact same thing with the exact same complete commitment to it. 8 years old, we committed to our make-believe. Well, it's the same thing. It's just a little more serious. And as a kid, you inspire yourself and you move yourself. As an adult, as an actor, your job is to inspire others and to move others. It is not to inspire yourself or move yourself. It's to give it away, but you give it away through yourself. And they go, "Oh, you made me so happy. Oh God, you made me cry. Or God, you made me this, whatever it is." And you succeeded. And that's your job. And your job is through what you're doing is to move people for your story, so your story has resonance. And it's hopefully a teacher. And hopefully an experience that you'll treasure. And that's what our job is. What a fun ass job, dude.
Right? That is a fun job. Heck yeah. I've always wanted to be an actor growing up. That was the first thing. It was either being an actor or a singer. I'm like, can you sing?
Well,
my mom's like, can you sing? I'm like, no, not yet.
Why didn't you become an actor or a singer?
Well, I don't know. I probably procrastination, and
it is very spooky to start because you have no pattern to follow, and you don't know anybody. You're a child. You're like probably between 16 and 20. You're a child, and so it's very frightening.
Yeah.
So when I ask that question, I always really know the answer. It's because it's so undependably frightening. I understand. And but I like to hear somebody will admit that right away because it's so spooky to. I'm going to be an actor. What does that mean? I mean, yeah, it's weird, and so I understand. And you have a really cool job. You have a really cool background, by the way. I love your setup.
Yeah, and, this is a real set. People think it's when I say I got to go into studio today, they're like, "What are you talking about? A studio?" No, it is a studio. Yeah, it's a lot bigger than that background, and it's not fake. So it's not one of those Zoom ones. Yeah. Everything's movable, real books, all kinds of cool lighting. So I know how to build sets. I used to build sets and create stuff, for filming and stuff like that. So I figured I'm going to work back behind the camera and direct and produce before I get in front of the camera. But it's never too late. So
good for you. Good for you, dude.
Yeah. Now, recently, well, not recently, and there's probably a lot of listeners and everybody that might kind of get this, is compared to all of your earlier work to some of the most recent work. I've seen that you get a lot of roles, a lot of the characters playing the villain. And I mean, granted, you always have to have a bad guy. And you make a really good villain, especially in Expendables, the first Expendables.
Yeah,
what's it? Trying to be being the villain and stuff is compared to the good guy. Do you see? What is your to explain the polarities of that? Is it easier to be the bad guy, or is it easier to be the good guy?
Well, it's just different. My first two movies, one I played a martyr, and one I played a hero. So they're very nice young men. And then I made Star 80 for Bob Fosse, and I played a guy who was not a nice young man. I played a guy who was an a-hole, and very dominating, very domineering, very very definite, and not necessarily kind. And I played him very well. So people thought I basically was that guy. So, and it was a very good movie. It was a Bob Fosse movie, and he made perfect films, as you know. And so you know, everybody thought I was this guy. Oh my God! And so I got offered a bunch of bad guy roles, which I kind of resented at first. Like, what? But then I realized, well, you know what? It's a great avenue. Bad guys, they get better clothes, they get better cars, they get wilder women, they get to die. You get all the stuff you want on film. You get to do pretty much every time. And so I got used to it, and I started loving it, started reveling in it, and started actually polishing it up for the future because your bad guys can be very cliche. You have to be careful, and you have to do your homework, or you are cliche as a bad guy. You have to watch that. So I do, and I have great fun playing bad guys, and I just love them. And I played a couple of epic good guys, like in Best of the Best, but my bad guys are more fun, and I do have more fun, and I do get to die almost every time. So I don't get to be in part twos, but I have a lot of fun.
Yeah, and all the bad guys. Well, this I think was it. Yeah, the Specialist, and it's good to be that character to where you're definitely remembered because, I mean, if you can create that character, that bad character, well, people will remember, and all of them are definitely memorable. So
that first Expendables movie, though, is a study in editing and movie making. Watch that movie. That movie takes you by the shirt and drags you through it. It is so. It's a definition of an action flick. That movie, and I'm sorry, I don't want to sound like too judgmental, but the other Expendables movies, for my money, aren't as good as that first one. That first one is a study in editing and in movie making. God, it's a cool ass movie. It's just a great action flick, and you know when you say action flick, you sound like you're throwing it away. It's an action flick. It is so good, man. It takes you by the throat and drags you through that movie. It is so incredible.
It definitely keeps you on the edge. It's definitely
I watch that movie probably once a month for inspiration. I love that movie.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And it has less heart or emotion than almost all my movies. But I love that movie. God, I love that movie.
I was saying that is how often do you watch your own stuff?
Well, you know what? Not to sound like an actor, but wherever I go, I turn on the TV and I flip around the stations in hotels, and I will find myself on the TV. So I can see myself pretty much every day, and sometimes do for like many days. Oh, here's an old one, and I watch myself. I will watch the whole movie, and I just get a kick out of it. I love being an actor. Hey, I love this movie. I'm in, and I watch it. If I'm on TV, I don't go buy my own stuff or watch my own stuff at home. But when I'm on the road, I'll turn on the TV and go through all the local channels. I will find me somewhere almost always. And if I'm on the air and I'm in the hotel room, I will watch myself. Yeah. So probably 10 times a year. Yeah. To be honest. Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever been in any commercials?
Yeah. I was in print for many things like clothing and liquors and things like that. But as far as moving ads, hold on a minute. Hey, Eliza, what commercials have I done that aren't just print ads?
you did the walk-in tub.
Oh yeah, I did the walk-in tub.
You haven't done that many commercials.
I haven't done that many commercials. Oh, what, baby?
Done a lot of music videos.
I've done a lot of music videos. She's reminding me.
Oh.
No, I haven't done a lot of commercials.
Huh.
You know, they don't want, you know, the one of the, you know, premier bad guys advertising their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
Music videos. That's a great world. The first one I did was for the Killers, Mr. Brightside. Went number one for many months. But it was so funny when they offered it to me. I said, you know, no, thank you. I don't do music videos. Sorry. See you later. I never watch you know, MTV or any of that. So I said, no, thank you. And I told my kids, and they all yelled, what are you doing? That's the Killers. What's wrong with you? Can you call them back? And I said, I guess I could. Call them back. Say you want to do it. So without telling anybody, I did. I called them back. I said, hey, my kids are mad at me. Can I still do your video? And they said yes. They were so nice to me. It was Mueller. What was Mueller's first name? The director? Sophie Mueller. I called Sophie Mueller. I said, can I still be in your video? And she said, yes, you can. And so I made this video. It went number one. And then all these people like Mariah Carey and Akon and all these really A-string rock and roll stars start calling me to be in their videos. And I did 8 videos. They all went number one. So I became video platinum. Who knew? I know, it's funny, isn't it?
Wasn't there one with the female vocalist? It wasn't Beyonce or something. It was
Mariah Carey.
Mariah Carey.
I did a couple for her. Yeah. She's a sweet guy. Yeah.
Cool. Huh. Yeah. Man, I there's probably so many questions, but rolling around my head to ask you. But
well, take your time.
Yeah, it's recorded. It's not like we're live. I used to do this live for about a year until a lot of people just didn't watch it live. They're like, they'll watch it later.
You can edit all the boring parts.
Yes. Thank God. I want to go back to the hospital from your accident. Talk about the Romanian couple.
Talk about the what you broke up.
The Romanian couple, a couple that showed up there.
Well, the Romanian couple, it was supposedly they came in and they talked to me about things. Now, why I believe this really happened and not just an hallucination is they told me about a product. What's it called? Aslovital. They said it by name, Aslovital, invented by Dr. Aslan. They went on and on about it in great detail, to the point where every time they came to see me, they would tell me, that's what you need. You are really injured. You need this stuff. Anyway, and then they would make small talk and I would be bored by it and they would eventually go away. Okay. This happened many times. I thought it was somebody who my image at the time was, these people work here and they're going home and they know me from movies. So they're stopping in to be nice and to say hi because they like me as an actor. Yeah. That's what I thought was happening. But it turned out when I asked about them to the staff and the other nurses and stuff, they're like, nobody's been in here. I said, no, they just left. They're like, no. And it got, so, it was hard for me for a long time because I was very confused and very frustrated.
Yeah.
But I became a believer. And to this day, I could cry, I believe, so adamantly that it happened for me. That these Because, oh yeah, here's why I believe. Because then I get out of the hospital and I do homework. Acid vital is a real thing for healing and for youth. How would I know anything about that? Why would I even know the word?
Yeah.
And so it really happened to me. They were there talking to me. And by the way, I started taking acid vital, and I took it for basically 10 years. And I don't give it complete credit for restoring my memory, but I know it helped. And I don't recommend it because it's an untested by the FDA thing, and you can only get it under the counter at certain pharmacies. But It comes from Europe, and I took it for 10 years, and it was something. It helped. I feel it was a part of my recovery. But I only knew about it because I was visited.
Yeah. Man. Yeah. When you get so-called spirits or, visited by people that give you information, and like you said, how would you have known the name and told people about it? And, all this evidential information that you couldn't ever possibly have known. And then sharing that, and yeah, that's the most amazing thing that gives us proof. That's the evidence that, there's spirit out there looking over us.
You're talking to a little bit artistic redneck. That's what you're talking to. I don't believe this kind of stuff. You can talk to me all day. I'm like, yeah, great. Have a good day. I don't go for it.
Yeah.
It happened to me. I have no choice but to take it. I have no choice. No choice.
Yeah. So, any of your peers, any of your coworkers, any of the people that the people that you work with and stuff, have ever shared any of their experiences with you, or you kind of get around the table, have a cup of tea and a candle, and
I never talk about this stuff. I've never talked about it to anybody socially, anybody professionally. Yeah. I've told one shrink. I've told my wife. I've now told you because my wife said, "Oh, you got to go on the seance and tell this guy. You got to go." So that's what I'm doing. Because I'm not threatened by it anymore. That everybody's gonna think I'm nuts. It just happened to me. What is it now? 40 years ago, and it made me a believer. But it's so far past it, and I've done so much since that I can talk about it that people don't think I'm totally insane who are not believers, because most people are not believers, so you have to accept that.
Yeah.
But my wife made me realize I can talk about it and not be called a nut. So I'm talking about
it. Yeah, exactly. This is the platform to do it, because, hey, share all,
There we go.
Where the energy is. And speaking of energy, I've always felt that LA, Hollywood in itself, as long as it's been around for a long time, the amount of energy that's shared on and off stage, behind the camera, all these actors, giving off the energy and portraying all these different characters, whether they're real or not. It's like do you feel that with all this going on in Hollywood for all these many years, and it's creating this tulpa, so to speak, and have you felt that in Hollywood? Have you felt this extraordinary energy, whether it's good or bad, it doesn't matter, that it carries an energy, it carries this force field, this metaphysical force field that draws people?
Well, I think you're touching onto a subject that is tangibly real. And what that is show business is the heart of society artistically. And sometimes it's the heart of society socially. When they meet, you get everybody dressing alike, everybody drinking the same stuff, and everybody is in the same club, as it were. Yeah. We're all the same stuff. Yeah, I know you because you're doing what I do. And
Yeah.
everybody gets comfortable with each other in society. That's the good part of entertainment. That's the great part about that television is what it can do, what it can do in that form. And that's where it should always be used. And that's where we do use it a lot. But we also have the 6 o'clock news with all the stuff going on in Syria, and it's a drag. And we as people who are part of society, it's our job to become aware of that stuff and to help where we can. But it's exhausting and it's hard on people, and people run away from it and have outlets like drugs and drink to avoid their feelings. And it's a rigmarole, dude, and it's a lot of us.
It's a lot. It's a lot of work, a lot of energy. Now there's the big things that are happening today that a lot of people are talking about is artificial intelligence and AI and how it's merging into so many different areas of industry. And hearing some of the stuff from Hollywood and even in the film industry here in Florida is some people are going, whoa, hold on a second. They're using AI that might take the actors out of the business because, we've only used it to, cover up and finish a film like with Carrie Fisher with some of the last Star Wars film. They had to do something. But do you see that AI might be a little dangerous to the acting profession?
To be perfectly honest, I don't know. But to also be perfectly honest, I'm the kind of pompous actor who loves what I do so much that's like, how could they replace me? How can they do that? I mean, you can't have an artificial Eric Roberts, and so I don't feel threatened. I might be naive, but I just don't feel threatened. And I feel if they can, if we wrap a movie and they're editing and then suddenly realize, oh my God, we need this. But Eric's in Istanbul doing blah, 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 and he doesn't have the schedule we can have him. So we have to do this AI thing of not Eric, but it looks like Eric walking across the street, saying, I'll call you. That's okay with me. That is okay with me.
Yeah.
But if you're going to let it be my performance, well, it's not going to be as good. We know that. It can't be because it doesn't come from here. It comes from somebody else injecting that into that. And so it's not going to be the same journey. It's not going to be the same personality. It'll sound the same. It'll look the same, but it won't be the same. The essence won't be there.
Yeah.
And maybe in 100 years, they'll be able to do that essence. But right now, in the next, what I have left of my life, I think I'm okay. That's good. Also do not know what I'm talking about.
So, me neither. I'm really naive when it comes to AI. I mean, I've got some thoughts about it, and like the Terminator, and seeing things, and that's what everybody's looking at right now. Oh my God, it's gonna be Terminator and all kinds of stuff. Nah, hopefully I'm not around when that happens. So, but so what's any new projects that you're working on? Any new films? Any without having to give away Hollywood secrets?
I have so much stuff happening, and they're always changing titles on me. So don't ever depend on me to tell you things. Go to imdb.com, the best website in the world. That will tell you everything about me and every other living artist in show business. Everything we're doing, why we're doing it, when we're doing it, where we're doing it. It tells you everything much better than I can. imdb.com. You want anything about me, go to them. They'll tell you.
Heck yeah. Yeah, I'm familiar. Waiting to get my name on there someday. So, so as I wrap up the show, any takeaways for our listeners and viewers?
Well, I've learned through all my travels and all my experiences and all my luck, and I've had a lot of all those things, that kindness and love are the way to go. You know, the Beatles said it best. All you need is love,
Yeah.
and when you have that, you can overcome anything. But you have to do it. It's like a marriage. You have to work at it. You have to develop it, and but it's really cool when you do. All you need is love, and but it's a job, so you have to decide to take it.
Yeah, yeah, and attuning to it. Attunement's important because we can always talk about it and always, you know, try to express it, but attuning to it can be pretty tough for others and stuff. So
It's a job.
yep, yep, absolutely.
What
Eric,
a nice half hour. Thank you, buddy.
you are very, very welcome, and welcome back anytime. If you got anything else to share and stuff like that, or anything paranormal, metaphysical that anybody on stage doesn't want to share, we can share it here. That's what the platform's for. So
You will be the first to always know when anything goes down in my house. I promise.
absolutely. Cool. Well, Eric, you have yourself a wonderful day. Humbled and honored to have you on our show. And say hi. Thank you to Eliza as well.
Eliza. Okay.
Awesome,
Peace
brother. You take care. Thank you, my
See you
friend.
in a minute.
Everybody, thank you for watching Conscious Radio Network's The Séance. And until next time, we'll see you next week.
Yeah.